Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is part 3. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, go check those out. They are already on my channel. Back on the PlayStation 3 on Madden 10, I would go check their stats. So for the defensive line / linebackers, I'll show you guys pictures, or I'm going to make a little video and show you my charts. But I'm looking for speed, agility, catching, tackling, coverage, and D moves. Okay, speed and agility is pretty easy. 78 speed. 82 agility. I would convert that. I'll show you guys how I'm going to convert it in a minute. So catching is one of the trickier ones. I will take catching, 34, catching traffic, and spectacular catch. I'll add all those up, divided by 3, and that's the number that I'm going to go with, that I'm going to convert. So I'll show you guys in a minute. And then also, what else do we have? Tackling, very easy, 96. I'd convert that. So, and then also for the defensive line moves, I will add power moves, finesse moves, and block shedding. I'll add all those up, divide it by 3, and that's the number I'm going to use for that. And then for coverage, I will do man coverage plus zone coverage, divide it by 2, so I get the average of those, and that's where I'll see where the coverage is. And pretty much I'll take those stats and I'll get out my calculator, and I have to do a lot of math. Because if you can imagine, there's 7 players for each team. And for just Lance Briggs, we have to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stats. And that is, we have to look at 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have to look at 11 different stats and do math just for Lance Briggs. So it's kind of a lot, but with the results that I've gotten, this is the most accurate way that I've made these teams. I'm so proud of it. Like, it is a bit tricky. It does take a bit of a time, but the results speak for themselves. So I'll kind of show you guys how I do the math. Okay, we are now screen recording. This is the calculator on my iPhone. I want to show you guys how I do this. So we'll start with an easy one, and then I'll kind of give you guys a hard one. So his speed is 78. So I do 78 divided by 100. And so we get 0.78. And then I would times that by 20. Okay, so his speed is 15.6. In street, they don't have a decimal. They don't have 0.6. So I'll round up. His speed will be 16, okay? That's how I do that. And this is just starter. Like, his speed in street is not going to be 16. I base it off of everybody else's stats, okay? So let's go see. Okay, so his catching is 34 plus 25 plus 40, okay? That's our number. Divide that by 3. Divide 33 by 100. And then times that by 20. And his catching is 6.6, so we'll round up to 7. So that's his catching. That's pretty much how I do it, you know. And then we'll go to, tackling is 96. So 96 divided by 100 times 20. And he has a 19.2, so he'd have 19 tackling, or about that. All of these are a rough estimate. These give me the numbers from Madden that I can work with to put into street. A lot of it is like kind of a feeling out process that I really cannot explain. I'll do another one just for an example. So we're going to do power moves, finesse moves, and block shedding. Power moves is 75, plus finesse moves is 82, plus block shedding is 95, okay? All those pretty good stats divided by 3. So he's got an 84 in all those categories. And that's how I pretty much get D moves. So divide that by 100, and I times it by 20, okay? So he's got a 16.8, so I'd round that up to a 17. D moves, that's pretty good. That's defensive line D moves. And he's got really good stats in D moves, and he's a 95 overall stat. So he's a good linebacker. He's a really good linebacker. I would take all this into consideration. I would also compare some of his stats to Brian Urlacher and kind of give and take and go, some over here, some over there. And if I'm worried about it being too high, I'll always put it 1 or 2 numbers lower on street, because I can always add more. I can't take away. So that's pretty much how I do that. Alright, back on NFL Street 2. So we've got our stats from Madden. And we'll go ahead and click on Lance Briggs. Go to attributes. So pretty much speed. So in Madden, he had a 16 speed and 16 agility. I put him at 13 because I don't want him running like a wide receiver. And I put him at 12 agility. So it's kind of like a feeling out process, okay? And again, if I feel like he needs more, I can always go back. His catching was at 7. I feel like that's perfect. Run power and carry, I didn't get those stats. So if I feel like he could be a good running and have decent carry, I'll give him a little bit. If I feel like he's not going to be that good at it, I'll give him less. And also, if he has a high overall score, I'll give him a little bit better running / carry. I'm not going to give him running back / wide receiver running and carrying, but for a linebacker, okay? Tackling, 19. He had a 19. I feel like that's perfect for him. He is a 95 overall, very good linebacker, good tackling, okay? Coverage, let's see what the coverage is. So his coverage is 14. I feel like that's pretty high. That's safety kind of high. So I put it at 10, and he's kind of like the rushing linebacker. Brian Urlacher has a little bit better coverage. Brian Urlacher is going to take a little higher coverage, a little less D moves, okay? And then for the D moves, he has a 17, okay? Let's see what I put it on. I put it at 15. If we put it at 17, you know, it makes every one of these players look like they have legend stats. I want this to be as close to Madden as I can without breaking the game. I don't want everybody overpowered. I feel like 15 is a very good number because just looking at it, his D moves looks like a decent defensive line or one of the lower defensive line, but it's very good for a linebacker. He had good defensive moves. He really did. So that's good defensive moves for a linebacker. Also, keep in mind that I'm not just doing this like one person at a time. I'm doing literally everybody I can. I'm getting all the attributes I can. I'll be on PlayStation for a couple hours. I'll come over here, make all the teams that I can until I have no more time, and then I'll go back and forth. You know, and I also have rules that apply to different stats. So for the quarterbacks, their speed, I automatically take off 5 speed and 5 agility because their speed would be wacky in street. Right now, you know, Jay Cutler's speed looks fine for a quarterback. I can go ahead and see what he had first. Again, I have so many notes I'm going to show you guys. So Jay Cutler had 14 speed. 14 speed for a quarterback. Jay Cutler of all people. If it was Michael Vick, I'd understand. So that's what his speed would look like. That's not Jay Cutler's speed, okay? We know Jay Cutler. He doesn't have this type of speed. And his speed to passing ratio would not look like that. He's a pretty good scrambling quarterback. I feel like 10, maybe 11 is decent for him. But I want to see what his passing is now that I'm looking at it. So Jay Cutler had an 18 in passing. So let's see what would happen if I put him at 18. So if he was at 18, he'd be one of the best quarterbacks in the game, okay? I feel like that's not really a decent representation of what he would be in street. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's in the upper echelon of quarterbacks if you look at his overall. I left it at 15. That way I can go back and I can, if I wanted to, you know, I can give him one more passing. If I feel like he's kind of down in the bottom end of quarterbacks, and I can work from there. But really everything is getting a good base and just building the best, not the best teams, whatever I feel like they deserve. Which is kind of like, you know, I don't want to say it's like playing God, but it's trying to be as accurate as possible without making, you know, bad players into very good players just because I feel like they should be good players. It's mainly their stats for Madden and their overall, pretty much, and how I've seen them play. So there's a lot of mental thinking going into this.